Hello, I'm Jasmine Haynes Coleman, Mrs. Arizona International 2018. The international pageant system has been a wonderful experience so far. This is something I have wanted to be a part of since I was a child.
Welcome to Need to Read. I'm your host, Allon, and Master Educator, coming to you live from the studios in downtown Phoenix of KFNX 1100 Independent Talk Radio, where we're promoting and dedicated to the promotion of reading for fun, profit, and understanding, and the development of habitual critical thinking. And we're sponsored in part by Surgenics, suppliers of stem cell material, and Integrative Medical Solution, who is run by Dr. Sabetti. And these two sponsors gave me my knee injection this past Thursday of stem cells and some reconstituting of my own blood mixed with that, and to help the pain in my knee, which already has actually shown a little bit of relief, and there'll be more about that. And these Dr. Sabetti will be with us next week in next week's show. It's also we're also sponsored in part by Attention to Detail Mobile Hand Car Wash, as we are every week. You hear the commercial come on during the show, during the breaks in the shows. And so, that is another one of our sponsors. And my co-host here is Sarah,
Hello.
My master producer, my most high producer. She's done so much for the show, and she's brought this week's guests on as well as in other weeks. She's brought some guests on as well. And so this week's guests are Mrs. Arizona International, Mrs. Arizona International, and along with the director of Arizona International Pageants. There's Miss, Mrs., and Preteen Pageants International. So, Sarah, would you introduce our guests?
Absolutely. Here today we have Jasmine Coleman, and we have Monique. Willhite.
Yes. Thank you.
Excuse me. Today on the show, and we're here to hear more about who you guys are, your platforms, how did you get here, more about what the pageant actually presents to the community and how it benefits the community.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us today.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
No problem. So, my kind of curious, my big thing is I'm a little bit kind of unknowledgeable about the organization and what it does. Can you kind of give me a little bit more information about that?
Yes, absolutely. The Arizona International Pageants is an organization that helps young women and married women of ages between 6 and 57, and anybody they're related to. And what we want to do is build strong family relationships, and we want to contribute to the community, as well as develop women, help them to be better communicators, help them to have a platform to work in the community about things that they're passionate about, and to just enhance the participation in community.
Wow. I didn't know. I thought you had to, I'm going to go by what, I thought you just, I didn't have an expectation to be in a pageant. I thought I had to go through this whole process and, and it feels like this is something that is really, really have changed over the years. I don't know though. I don't know if you can kind of give me a little bit of a different perspective on that. It seems like it has.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Well, the international pageant, the Mrs. International Pageant, was founded back in 2000. And it was to showcase the accomplishments of married women, and also to, build strong family relationships. They say it's a family affair, and they're all over the world. In Arizona, the international pageant used to be very alive. They had lots of contestants, lots of participation, but the director, they didn't have a director for about 15 years. And in 2014, I became Mrs. Arizona International 2014. I was interviewed by the international director, and I served and competed in the international competition, and I really wanted to be the director here in Arizona. So then,
thank you.
Yeah,
we appreciate it
because it really enhanced my life, and I thought, I could do so much for women here in Arizona. We have scholarships for teens. We have opportunities for them to serve the community. And we also have personal development opportunities. So it's just something that I'm really passionate about, and I'm excited to work with young women. I'm a lawyer as well, and I also taught at the Sandra Day O'Connor College of Law. I taught law students who we trained lawyers who are facing not lawyers, but we train lawyers to help people who are facing foreclosure or who were victims of mortgage fraud. So I taught in that area as well. So I love teaching, I love mentoring, and this is the perfect vehicle for me to do that.
Nice.
And Jasmine, how did you get associated with the pageants?
I was associated with the pageants in 2017. My daughter participated in the Miss Teen Arizona International competition, and I got to experience the pageant from the backstage and working with her and getting her prepared for the pageant.
That was probably really exciting. You getting your daughter ready to go in there, you kind of living through her in little ways, seeing how that was, and seeing it. And so you decided to enter in the contest for Mrs.
Yes, after finding that there was a Mrs. category in 2018, she decided to run again. My daughter did, and she asked me to run with her. And at one point, I was like, no, I don't want to do that, and she said, no, Mom, you really need to do this. It was something that I had wanted to do when I was a child and just didn't have the opportunity. So I took the opportunity. So with the motivation of my daughter.
Right. As you matured and got to be an adult, you kind of dismissed it as child desires, maybe necessary. It's not something I want to do. I'm an adult. I got responsibility.
Right. But
you found that it has a purpose beyond just, flattering yourself or whatever, being the winner of the contest or whatnot. And you have a couple of organizations that you're involved with. I believe one of them was called Defend Innocence.
Yeah, the one that my platform is Defend Innocence.
Uh-huh.
And so Defend Innocence is about raising awareness of child sexual abuse.
Yeah.
And how parents can, prevent that and speak
to
their
Do they
children.
work internationally as well? Do they, as far as, around the world, do they try to have an influence in some of the things that are going on around the world? Not just in the United States. There's a lot of bad things happening to children too here. And there's also whole countries where children are denied almost the basics, and I'm just wondering, how much of it is it involved around the world?
Defend Innocence is in the United States for right now.
For right now, yeah.
Yeah, for right now, and I do believe with growth and more popularity and bringing more awareness to that organization that it will be taken international.
Well, I hope I give you some exposure on this show. I can't say just how many listeners I've had up until this point, but with this show and with other shows that my master producer here, my most high producer,
I try.
She has really changed the show. And any of my listeners that are listening know that in the past I started this show the Sunday after the election of 2016. So it was a very tumultuous time. There was a lot of stuff going on in the country, and I've been doing that, and I've been doing mostly ranting or raving about the current events, and of course talking about my reading and recommending reading material and how important reading is. Mm-hmm. Most important thing that a child can learn. But that doesn't always produce the greatest, and I'm not the greatest entertainer. And Sarah has come in here and just really push things, and I was so pleased that she was able to get you guys on the show, and I'm really
well, that's my job. I'm here to make dreams happen.
There you go.
That I do. I make dreams happen for people. I don't know what it is, but I have done it for numerous different companies. I'm a co-host on the radio show, but I really get intrigued about new things, new developments, new organizations, and how it's going to benefit the community.
So how did you and Jasmine hook up?
Actually, I invited Jasmine onto the radio from Facebook, and I know a lot of people don't get how that is, but I connected her and I was like, hey, would you like to come on the radio show? And she's like, Yes. And then she looked everything up first, and then she was like, yeah, I definitely would like to come on the show. And I think that's how we connected. And that's about having
you also have an organization that the pageant itself is connected to. Is that Red for Women?
Yes, Go Red for Women. We have a national alliance with the Go Red for Women movement, which raises awareness about the threat of heart disease. Heart disease is the number one killer of women in the United States. A lot of people don't know that. And so we want women to be aware of that. We want women to choose to live heart healthy lives.
Absolutely. So now we're going to be coming up to our first break, everybody. And so, when we come back, we're going to pursue the subject of, Defend Innocence, the project, Defend Innocence, and Go Red for Women. And we're going to review, some of the stuff that's coming up on the shows in the coming weeks. I want to remind everybody that we're promoted by Surgenics.
What does hope mean to you? Is it taking that extra step or just standing up? Is it running that extra mile or just walking down the stairs? Everyone defines hope differently, but at Surgenics, we want you to ask for more. We're giving hope back to patients by pioneering the next generation of medicine. Leveraging unprecedented quality, safety, and value, our products represent our vision that treatment can be different, that it can rekindle hope. Every member of our staff is dedicated to the vision that hope can be more than a dream for tomorrow, but with passion and commitment, can be something we can pioneer today. Welcome to Surgenics, where hope isn't a concept, it's a reality.
Welcome back to Nature Aid, Reading for Fun, Profit, and Understanding. We're talking today here with Jasmine Coleman, who is Mrs. Arizona International for 2018, yes. Behind my years. And also with us is Director of Arizona International Pageants. And over off the camera is Faith, Miss Preteen 2018. And we were talking about the organizations that the pageant is involved in and Jasmine is personally involved in as well. And so we were talking about, Defend Innocence, yes. which is about defending, sexually, abused children right now in the United States, but eventually around the world. Yes. And then also, and we're talking about going red for women, and that is where women are encouraged to take their health issues seriously and do something about them. And on that note, or a part of that note, is a children's museum called Hallie Hart
Children's Museum.
And it's at 2929 South 48th Street in Tempe.
Right.
And what is this museum about?
The Hallie Hart Children's Museum is amazing. It's the only one of its kind in the United States, and it teaches it's an interactive, it's so colorful and it's so beautiful. It's an interactive museum that teaches children how to take care of their heart, how it works, and what to do in an emergency if a loved one has a heart attack. And they have cooking, they have interactive games, they talk about smoking. They also have an activity center there where you can have birthday parties. It's a lot of fun, and we encourage families to go there.
That's at 2929 South 48th Street in Tempe, Arizona.
Right.
Do they have a phone number?
They do, but I don't have it with me.
Okay, but anybody with a smartphone could look that right up.
Yeah, Hallie Hart Children's Museum. They have a webpage, and it's in Tempe. I think it's next to the Diablo Stadium in Tempe, and they have lots of summer activities going on too. I think that's the place where they are having the free lunch program.
Oh,
okay.
the Sun Devil Stadium.
Well, yeah, I think
there.
it's near there. Yeah,
and that's by the old the mill towers, right?
Well, that's by the old mill tower, but I want you to think about the T Mountain. You know, the Tempe Mountain. That's closer to where it is, and the there's a resort there in the Rocks. So it's off of Broadway. And the freeway.
Just about anybody who's been in Arizona in Phoenix in the Valley for any length of time knows about the Big T on the mountain there in Tempe, and going over the Mill Avenue Bridge, which just as a quick side note was one of two bridges over the Salt River in the mid-'80s huge flood that flooded and wiped out even the freeway. The freeway. So there was two ways to get across the Salt River. The Mill Avenue Bridge and the Central Avenue Bridge in Phoenix.
There were actually, I'm going to kind of interfere with that. I remember when I was younger, we could not go over that bridge because it flooded so bad it actually covered that bridge.
Oh, the Central Avenue Bridge?
Central Avenue Bridge.
Yeah, that is amazing because
Isn't it amazing?
It held, and yet the water was actually coming over the top of it. And what happened on the freeway is the water scoured out underneath the foundation of one of the pillars in there, and part of the freeway sunk. And that's why the freeway was actually closed. Wow. And that was incredible. The Mill Avenue Bridge and the Railroad Bridge, what a place. And anyway, that's where the Hallie Hart Children's Museum is, and it's at 2929 South 48th Street. And you could look it up and find the phone number, and they got some great activities there. Yes. So now also we were talking about your organization, Defend Innocence, and
right, which is it's a really
tell us how people can help out in that.
Okay, for Defend Innocence, you can always go to www.defendinnocence.org, and again, it's about raising awareness for child sexual abuse, and the mission of Defend Innocence is to educate and empower parents to teach their children and to help children talk about sexual abuse and how to prevent it.
Well, let me ask you, how much does the culture that we live in today contribute to this problem? Because, it seems like everything is sexualized. And even at the younger and younger ages, children are fed this constant feed of it's how you look, and women are supposed to look kind of sultry, and guys are supposed to be like chasing after them, even as youngsters, and then it's certainly as any person that seems to get past puberty is retains virginity or retains a kind of restricted way of acting, and they're looked down upon. Everybody's supposed to be out there just kissing and hugging just about all the time. Right. And every movie you watch, it's almost impossible to watch a movie that doesn't have unnecessary graphic sexual content.
Right.
I mean, because sometimes, when it's a part of the story and it really enhances the story, no one objects to a little bit of kissing and hugging. But today's movies, it's like they have to engage in much more of that, and not for any reason that actually helps in the story of the movie, just for the titillization of it.
Right. Well, that's what's good about this organization. One of their things is that they have a social platform to where you can go online and you can learn and educate. You can educate yourself about how to speak to your children about things such as that, and how to differentiate between, okay, this is a hug, but this is more than a hug. Or you teach your children about their boundaries and what is okay, what's not, your personal space, who to let in your personal space. And one thing that we have to always remember is that sexual abuse comes in different forms. And there's a lot of myths about, sexual abuse. It can come from a stranger or it's something that someone always touching you. And actually that myth, we need to bust that myth. Sexual abuse can come from someone in your close circle, and sure, such as a family member, a coach, a teacher. It's usually people that are close within, that you trust.
More likely than a stranger.
Yes, it's more likely than a stranger.
Sure.
And also to educate our children about sexual abuse comes in different forms. It's not just someone touching you and invading your private spaces. It's, what you see on TV, how you're talked to, social media, the advances that can come to you from anybody on social media, provocative pictures, anything to that nature can also be considered sexual abuse if it's gauged to our children or even individuals inappropriately in excess. So it's good for us as parents to know about those things, to educate ourselves.
And
so
it's
that
very
we
important
can teach
because
our children.
all people mature and become sexually aware and have sexual desires as our hormones mature, because obviously we have to procreate. And so, you're pushed in that direction inevitably. And so in order to really help them understand how sacred that is almost, and how wonderful it is, but at the same time it can't be abused. It really does. You have to stay involved with your family. And I find, I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but there's this problem on the border with children being separated from their parents, and whether or not you believe it's wrong or right, or why it is or what's happening, it's happening. Right. And these children have been warehoused, and I'm sure that they're warehoused in decent ways because we're good people, and I've seen the pictures of them, and I assume that that's the case. But I did hear one little caveat, and is that these workers were not allowed to touch the children. Mm-hmm. We're not allowed to hug them. We're not allowed to pick them up and comfort them. And I'm just sitting there thinking, how could that? Why not? That's exactly what those kids need, even if it is a stranger. And it's got to be this hysteria over improper touching, and where some people are actually accused of doing improper touching, and they haven't done it, and often you're guilty until proven innocent when you're accused that way. And that's another thing about it that I don't want to take away from the fact that it happens, but it's interesting that there are consequences of hysterical and mass thinking like the masses, instead of thinking for yourself and thinking through things logically. So, we're going to be coming back here, and we're going to pursue that a lot more. And I just want to say that what those kids on the border really needed was to be comforted, because whether or not it's good or bad what's happened, they are separated, and until they're reunited, they're going to be lost. So I believe in hugging children and being good with children, and so we're going to be back in just a few minutes here.